my beloved, you keep asking why it feels so heavy, why the pressure increased instead of decreasing after your yes, why the very moment you said, "I'm ready," life felt like it fell apart. You thought surrender would bring relief. You thought obedience would make things easier. You thought saying yes to the call would mean faster progress, clearer direction, more peace. And instead, it led you into fire. You didn't plan for this. You didn't ask for this. And quietly, you've been wondering if maybe you misread what I said. But here's the truth I need you to see. You didn't mishear me. You were led here on purpose, because you were made for this kind of fire. The intensity of this season is not proof that something went wrong. It's confirmation that something has begun. You think you're being tested. I say you're being revealed. What you're walking through isn't an accident. It's not random. It's not the result of weakness or failure. It is the exact pressure required to pull out what I planted in you. You see it as an attack. I see it as activation. This fire isn't here to consume you. It's here to confirm you. It's proof that what I placed inside you is ready to emerge. You've prayed for power, for clarity, for breakthrough. But I cannot give you the weight of what you asked for without first proving that your identity is stronger than your emotions. I cannot send you into places of influence if your foundation is still shaped by fear. I cannot release you into visibility if you still need the approval of people to stay grounded. The fire is not here to break you. It's here to burn away everything that cannot go with you into the next season. It's here to refine your motives, separate your voice from the noise, and teach you how to live without compromise. Because where you're going, compromise won't keep you safe. Obedience will. I led you here not to watch you collapse, but to show you what you carry when everything you once depended on is stripped away. This fire has exposed the places where your faith was still built on results. It's revealed how much you've leaned on your own understanding. It's surfaced the doubts you thought you had buried, but none of that is a reason to feel ashamed. That's exactly what fire does. It reveals, not to condemn, but to purify. I'm not shocked by what's come to the surface. I've been waiting for this moment, because now I can show you who you really are beneath the surface of survival. You are stronger than you know. Not because you feel strong, but because you stayed. Even when the prayers felt empty, even when no one affirmed your process, even when you were tempted to give up. But you didn't. I was there through all of it, not watching from a distance, but walking in the fire with you. I've been the strength under your shaking, the peace under your panic, the whisper in your silence. And now I'm speaking clearly again, because this is the moment where everything changes. Not because the fire ends, but because you begin to see it differently. Not as your enemy, but as your unveiling. You've asked me to show you your purpose, but purpose is not found in comfort. It's found in surrender. And surrender doesn't feel safe at first. It feels like exposure, like chaos, like confusion. But in that place, I rebuild. In that place, I reveal your real strength. Not the kind that comes from hype or energy, the kind that comes from peace, from knowing that even in the heat of pressure, you're not being destroyed, you're being defined. This fire will not take you out. It will take out what's not needed. It will remove the false stories, the lies you believed about who you're not, the dependence on applause, the addiction to outcomes, the fear of not being enough, the fear of being too much. The fire is not your punishment. It's your preparation, and it's producing something that couldn't be built any other way. That's why I allowed it. Not to harm you, but to trust you with a testimony that carries weight. You've been hidden long enough. You've felt small long enough. You've been shrinking to survive. But I didn't make you to shrink. I made you to stand. And the fire is awakening what has been buried under fear. It's awakening the version of you that knows how to pray without being seen, that knows how to worship without needing a reason, that knows how to move even when your steps are slow. That version is the one I'm calling forward now. This is not a mistake. This is not an interruption. This is a moment of revelation, and you are not disqualified. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are formed. You are ready. You are marked. And you are standing in the exact place where my fire meets your faith. Not to burn you, but to brand you with the kind of authority that only comes through fire. Because you were made for this kind of fire. And soon, you will not just survive it. You will carry it. You've been carrying more than most people will ever know. You've walked through days with a brave face while your soul ached for rest. You've shown up when your faith felt threadbare. You've served while privately wondering if I still saw you. And in those moments when you started to question your strength, your value, your calling, I was closer than you realized. Not observing you with a checklist, not disappointed by your fatigue, but moved by your honesty, your hunger, your stillness in the midst of silence. You thought I needed more from you to be pleased with you, but I never asked you to perform. I only asked you to remain close. You've been harder on yourself than I've ever been. You measure your worth by your emotional consistency, your productivity, your ability to keep it all together. But I never called you to be impressive. I called you to be honest. I never asked you to feel strong. I asked you to stay near. You are not behind. You are not weak. You are not failing. You are in process, and you are being formed for something holy. What you feel right now isn't evidence that something is wrong with you. It's evidence that something powerful is being built inside of you, and that kind of building isn't light. It's weighty. It presses, but it purifies. And I want you to know I'm not disappointed in you. Not for struggling, not for doubting, not for feeling exhausted. I don't define you by how long you can keep pretending to be okay. I define you by who I made you to be. And that version of you is still very much alive, beneath the pressure. I see the one who still whispers my name even when they're not sure what I'm doing. I see the one who still worships with tears running down their face. I see the one who's still here, not because it's easy, but because they love me. And I want you to know, I receive every single one of those moments. You think no one noticed? But heaven did, and I did. You've wondered what I think about you, and I'll tell you now. I trust you. I trust the way you respond to my whispers. I trust the way your heart softens, even when it's tired. I trust the way you come back, again and again, even when you don't feel worthy. I'm not building a perfect follower. I'm building a faithful one. I'm not asking you to impress me. I'm asking you to walk with me. And the ones who walk with me, even in weakness, are the ones I raise up with true authority. You are one of them. So I want to invite you back to simplicity, back to presence, back to sitting with me in the quiet, not to perform or to get it right, but just to breathe again, just to be with me without pressure, just to remember that I'm not a distant God calling you to catch up. I'm a present Father calling you to rest again in who I've always said you are. You don't need to fight for identity. You already have it. You don't need to chase clarity. I am your clarity. I don't need you to look strong right now. I need you to look at me. Come back to that space where the pressure breaks. Come back to the place where striving ends, where you remember that I'm not holding your mistakes over your head. I'm holding your heart in my hands. I've never been shocked by your story. I've always seen the end from the beginning. I knew where you would hesitate. I knew where you would fall. I knew how the fire would stretch you. And I still called you, still chose you, still trusted you with this weight. Not because of your perfection, but because of your posture. Because even when you've been unsure of me, I've never been unsure of you. You are still chosen, still seen, still full of potential, still carrying what I placed in you before you ever stepped into this pressure. Nothing has disqualified you. Nothing has removed my presence. The silence wasn't absence. It was preparation. I've been forming in you the kind of depth that can't be stolen by applause or crushed by resistance. And now I want to bring you back to that place of truth. Not to start over, but to go deeper, because what's coming requires a you that is anchored, not busy, not loud. Anchored. Let me rebuild you with tenderness. Let me speak again into the places you silenced because of disappointment. Let me breathe again into the places where dreams stopped growing. Let me love you back into full awareness of who you are. You don't need to fix yourself before you return. You just need to come, because you were made for this. And I'm not asking for a better version of you. I'm asking for the real one. This is the gentle call you've been waiting for. The one that says, you're still mine. I still see you, and I'm still right here. You've asked me why it had to happen that way. Why the pain came when it did, through the people it did, in moments that felt the most unfair. You didn't understand why the silence lasted so long, why the door stayed shut, why the ones you trusted the most seemed to fade just when you needed them. And because you couldn't find answers, part of you began to assume it was your fault, that maybe something in you wasn't enough, that maybe the pain meant you were forgotten. But now I need to reveal what really happened, and why I allowed it. Not to explain every detail, but to open your eyes to something deeper. Because what you walked through wasn't punishment. It was preparation. It wasn't rejection. It was refinement. And the weight of the fire you endured is the exact evidence that I've always intended to build something in you that could not be shaken. I allowed the fire not to expose your weakness, but to remove what was never meant to stay. There were attachments that needed to be severed, but you wouldn't have let them go unless you felt the sting of their absence. There were ideas about your identity that had to burn. Stories you told yourself, beliefs you inherited, lies you absorbed from wounds and silence and comparison. You thought you were being broken, but I was actually breaking what you couldn't go with you. Into the future, I wasn't late. I wasn't absent. I was standing in the fire with you, watching, not with distance, but with intention. Because I knew what would survive the heat. I knew what you were made of. I knew what you were carrying. And I knew that if you would trust me, even with your questions, I would turn the place of your pain into the foundation of your purpose. You didn't feel it then, but the pain changed your posture. It taught you how to listen beneath the noise. It taught you how to depend on my voice when no one else understood. It humbled your expectations, not to shrink your faith, but to clarify your vision. You stopped needing the approval of the crowd. You stopped chasing environments that didn't value your depth. You stopped running to distractions to avoid silence. And instead, you met me in the hidden places. That's where I refined you. That's where I poured the oil that cannot be bought, only pressed. That's where I showed you that the anointing on your life is not a reward. It's a result of surrender. And surrender is never forged in ease. It's forged in pressure, tension, endurance, obedience. Even in the moments when your strength ran out, you were growing. You thought you were stuck, but I was forming muscle. The kind of spiritual resilience that doesn't waver when the winds rise. The kind of clarity that doesn't need signs to believe. The kind of confidence that no longer rises and falls with emotion. You are not the same person who entered that fire. You are steadier, heavier, quieter in your soul, but louder in your authority. Because when everything else fell apart, you held on to me. Not always perfectly, but persistently. And that is what I count. Not your performance, but your proximity. Not how loud you shouted, but how quietly you stayed. You've grieved the loss of relationships, timelines, dreams, and I understand. But I want you to look again. What if those losses were not endings, but sacred separations? What if I removed what looked right, so I could protect what truly fits? What if I let the dream die, because the version of you that dreamed it was no longer who I was building? You have mourned what I've actually been redeeming. You've feared what I've actually been freeing. You've looked at the ashes and called them failure. But I see foundation. I see the very ground where I am now building something that cannot be moved. Don't resent the pressure. It's the evidence that you're carrying something eternal. Don't curse the silence. It was the container where your discernment grew sharp. Don't regret the fire. It's where your identity was reclaimed. You didn't lose time. You gained weight. You didn't lose influence. You gained substance. You didn't lose your way. You found me in ways comfort never would have allowed. And now I'm redeeming the pain, not by pretending it didn't happen, but by rewriting what it means. You'll look back on it and realize that's where the strength came from. That's where I learned to stand. That's where I discovered who I really am. I won't erase your story. I'll anoint it. I won't remove your scars. I'll give them power. You're not going to rise in spite of what you've endured. You're going to rise because of it. Because what you carry now is not just a calling. It's a testimony that the fire did not kill you. It commissioned you. So when you feel the weight again, remember, you were not meant to escape it. You were meant to carry it with grace, because I carry it with you. You were never meant to avoid the fire. You were made for this kind of fire, and now, that fire has marked you, not with fear, but with glory. You've been looking for evidence with your eyes, but I have already begun to move in ways your spirit has been sensing. You don't need to wait for a visible explosion to know that the atmosphere around you has shifted. You felt it in the subtle unrest, in the new hunger that refuses to let you stay the same, in the way your old rhythms no longer satisfy your soul. These are not random feelings. These are not emotional fluctuations. They are spiritual signs that the fulfillment is not just coming. It's starting. You've thought, nothing's happening yet. But I tell you, much has already shifted. Doors that once resisted you are now preparing to open. Rooms you didn't even know you belonged in are being rearranged to make space for your arrival. Conversations are happening about your name, your assignment, your positioning, even though you cannot see or hear them yet. I am orchestrating alignments that will not require you to strive or beg, only to step forward when I say move. You are not chasing favor. Favor is finding you because I have declared it so. The signs are subtle now, because I want your spirit, not your eyes, to lead the way. I'm sharpening your ability to recognize me in ways that are not loud, but unmistakable. When peace follows an opportunity, even when fear tries to shout louder, that's a sign. When a door closes so fast it leaves you stunned, that's a sign of protection. When conversations keep circling around the same confirmations, even without your prompting, that's a sign of timing. I am speaking through atmosphere, through whispers, through divine tension and holy unrest. Pay attention. You're not losing ground. You're walking into prepared territory. I've also begun stirring new dreams inside you, visions that feel too big, too sudden, too wild to have come from your own mind. That's because they didn't. They are glimpses of what I've already scheduled. I don't tease you with hope. I don't stir dreams to disappoint. I am showing you flashes of your future, not to frustrate you, but to prepare your heart to say yes again when the doors open. These glimpses are invitations, not just to believe, but to build quietly, steadily, expectantly, even while no one else sees it yet. The shift that's happening isn't just external, it's internal first. You've noticed your discernment sharpening, your hunger increasing, your conversations shifting, your prayers deepening. You're sensing the difference between noise and voice, between opportunity and assignment, between distraction and destiny. That's not because you're becoming better, it's because you're becoming more aligned. I've been detoxing your heart from the voices that diluted your faith. I've been pruning relationships, habits, and even thought patterns that used to feel necessary but are now clearly unnecessary. That clarity is part of the sign. You are being recalibrated, not as punishment, but as preparation for what's unlocking. In the days ahead, you'll start noticing patterns, specific themes, repeated words, dreams that seem to echo each other. You'll sense an urgency, not a panic, but a pull toward specific alignments, specific disciplines, specific spaces of surrender. Follow that pull. That's me. I'm not asking you to strive. I'm asking you to stay sensitive, to protect the environment of your soul the way a gardener protects new seeds, not through anxious overworking, but through daily attentiveness. There are people coming who will recognize what you carry without needing you to explain yourself. There are opportunities being crafted that will stretch you, but will not suffocate you. There are resources being aligned, not because you manipulated them, but because you stayed faithful when no one saw the sacrifice. Heaven has been building in silence what you thought was stalled, and now what was hidden will begin to rise, not rushed, but right on time. I'm moving pieces behind the scenes with a precision you couldn't have orchestrated if you tried. That's why the waiting felt so heavy, because what I'm about to reveal carries weight, and I refuse to rush what carries my glory. What's about to unfold will not look like the survival season you came out of. It will be marked by rest, by flow, by peace that doesn't make sense to others. And that peace will guard you when the acceleration feels overwhelming. Prepare your heart, prepare your mind, not in panic, but in posture. Build your mornings around stillness. Build your days around expectation. Build your nights around surrender. Keep your spirit tuned to the small confirmations. I'm not coming in chaos, I'm coming in the quiet. And when the wave of fulfillment hits, you will not be caught off guard. You will be ready. You're not stepping into something random. You're stepping into something written, long before the pain, long before the delay, long before the doubt. This was always the plan, because you were made for this kind of fire. And now, the fire is not just forming you, it's about to launch you. Now that you know the shift has begun, now that you have seen how the signs are unfolding around you, the next step is not to wait passively, it's to move intentionally. The fulfillment of what I've promised is not something you chase desperately. It's something you walk into steadily, with posture, with awareness, with a rhythm that matches what you carry. I'm not asking you to force what I am building. I'm asking you to align your daily life to what I've already set in motion. Alignment is how you cooperate with acceleration. And alignment happens in the ordinary, not just in the extraordinary. Start with your mornings. Before the world pulls at you with demands and distractions, give me your attention, not out of obligation, but out of recognition. Let me be the first voice you tune to, not your fear, not your tasks, not your doubts. Even a few minutes of surrendered stillness will anchor your soul in ways hours of activity cannot. In that quiet, I will strengthen you. I will reveal small directions. I will whisper wisdom that shields you from the weight of unnecessary battles. I will set your focus before confusion even has a chance to speak. Stay sensitive throughout the day. Every moment matters. Faith is not about big leaps only. Faith is about steady steps. When you feel the nudge to reach out, to pray, to shift your attitude, to slow your pace, Respond quickly. Quick obedience shortens the distance between the seed and the harvest. Stop second-guessing every prompting. You've matured more than you realize. Your spirit is hearing me more clearly now because the fire burned away the distractions. Trust the discernment you fought so hard to develop. Small yeses in private are what unlock big breakthroughs in public. Guard your atmosphere ruthlessly. What you consume, what you allow into your mind, what you entertain in your heart, these things are not neutral. They either feed your faith or drain your focus. Choose inputs that match the fire you're carrying. Choose conversations that stir your hunger, not your fear. Choose spaces that challenge you into growth, not places that coddle you into compromise. You don't have the luxury of feeding your spirit leftovers anymore. You're carrying something sacred, and it demands intentionality. Return to my word daily, not to check off a religious box, but to build your internal architecture. My word is your stabilizer. It will keep you anchored when the winds rise and the noise increases. You don't need to master everything at once. You need to meditate on what I highlight. Let it reframe your responses. Let it renew your mind. Let it correct your language. My word will give you the authority to speak with weight when the opportunity demands it. Without my word alive in you, pressure will push you into reaction. But with my word seated deep inside, pressure will only pull out power. Learn to manage your peace, not by controlling circumstances, but by stewarding your heart. I am training you to live from a place where peace is your platform, not your reward. Peace is not what happens after you fix everything. Peace is what happens when you stay close to me, even when everything feels unfinished. Practice stillness in moments when anxiety rises. Practice worship when distraction calls. Practice gratitude when progress feels slow. These practices are not minor disciplines. They are spiritual weapons that clear the air around your calling. Prepare practically too. Build systems for the life you are stepping into, not just for the life you are leaving. If I have spoken expansion, prepare capacity. If I have spoken increase, organize with expectation. If I have promised influence, develop the skills to sustain it with humility. Faith without works is dead. Not because works earn favor, but because true faith prepares in advance. Noah didn't wait for the flood to start building. Joseph didn't wait to lead before learning to steward a prison. David didn't wait for the crown to sharpen his skill. I'm inviting you into a posture where you live like the future is already unfolding, because it is. Stay in rhythm, not reaction. The enemy's strategy will be to overwhelm you, to rush you, to make you move out of fear or fatigue. Refuse it. My timing is perfect. My pace for your life is not frantic, it's faithful. Keep breathing. Keep listening. Keep moving at the speed of trust, not the speed of panic. The fire was never meant to exhaust you. It was meant to energize you with my spirit. And above all, stay near. You're not being sent alone. You're not being launched without covering. Every step you take is under the eye of a God who has seen the end from the beginning. You're not building a life for me from the outside in. You're building a life with me from the inside out. That's why the foundation matters so much. That's why the small choices matter so much. That's why your hidden faithfulness matters so much. Move now, like you believe it's real. Pray now, like you believe the door is near. Plan now, like you believe the season is shifting. Live now, like you carry fire. Because you do, and soon, the fire that shaped you will be the fire that leads you into everything I promised. You have been walking through fire, thinking it was just survival, thinking it was just endurance, thinking it was just about making it to the other side. But I tell you now, This fire was never about proving your worth through survival. It was about unveiling your worth through revelation, because you were never a mistake trying to earn significance. You were a carrier of my presence long before you ever faced pressure. The fire didn't create your calling. The fire revealed it. The pressure didn't give you identity. It exposed what was already planted deep inside you from the beginning. You have spent too long seeing yourself through the lens of struggle. You've attached your value to your ability to keep fighting. But I want you to see yourself the way I see you, not as a wounded fighter, but as a beloved son, a beloved daughter, someone whose worth was never determined by performance or resilience. You are not valuable because you endured. You are valuable because I made you in my image, breathed my spirit into you, and placed eternal assignments inside of you that the fire only served to awaken. You are not fragile. You are forged. You are not forgotten. You are favored. You are not too late. You are right on time. You are not barely making it. You are being strategically positioned by my hand. Every scar you carry is not a mark of shame. It's a mark of survival, a mark of victory, a reminder that you have been in battles most people will never see, and yet you have remained faithful, even when faithfulness looked like nothing more than refusing to walk away. You have no idea how much weight your life carries. You have no idea how many chains have been broken simply because you chose to stay when quitting was easier. You think your story is ordinary, but in the spirit, it has thundered through darkness. Every prayer you whispered through tears, every act of obedience you gave without recognition, every moment you forgave without receiving apology. These have not gone unnoticed in heaven. They have been multiplied into seeds of breakthrough you are just beginning to see unfold. It's time to stop shrinking back. It's time to stop doubting whether you heard me correctly. It's time to stop wondering if maybe you missed your moment. You haven't missed anything. In fact, you are standing on ground that many never reach. Not because you pushed harder, but because you stayed longer. You stayed soft when hardness was an option. You stayed honest when pretending was easier. You stayed faithful when cynicism would have been justified. That's why I trust you with this next level. That's why I've preserved you when others thought you were finished. You were never finished. You were being formed. You don't have to fight for room anymore. I am making room for you. You don't have to manipulate doors. I am unlocking doors that were sealed, not because you lacked value, but because the right time had not yet arrived. You don't have to apologize for carrying weight now. This fire was not to humiliate you. It was to clothe you with an authority that cannot be faked. There is an ease coming to the places where you once had to fight, not because the battles are over, but because you have been changed. You will walk into old spaces and feel no need to prove yourself. You will hear old voices of accusation and feel no pull to respond. You will stand in storms that once would have shaken you to your core and find yourself unmoved, not because you've become numb, but because you've become rooted. I am restoring your joy, not the temporary kind that comes from circumstances lining up, but the deep, anchored joy that wells up from knowing who you are and whose you are. Joy that cannot be stolen by delay. Joy that cannot be diminished by criticism. Joy that lives inside your identity, not outside in performance. I am rebuilding your confidence, not based on how you compare to others, but based on how you are seen by me. You have always been enough, and now you will walk like you know it. There will be moments ahead where old insecurities will try to whisper, but now you will recognize them for what they are, echoes of a past season that no longer defines you. You are not the abandoned one. You're not the overlooked one. You're not the broken one. You're the called. You're the sealed. You're the one who carries fire because you were formed in it, not consumed by it. And when you step forward from this place, when you speak, when you pray, when you build, when you love, you won't have to announce what happened. The atmosphere will testify. The weight of my presence on your life will speak louder than anything you could ever say. People will encounter what you carry and not even realize they're standing in the evidence of what fire can produce when someone refuses to quit. Because you were made for this kind of fire. And now you are ready to walk from it, not burned, but branded by heaven. Now that the fire has formed you and the revelation has reawakened you, you must walk carefully, not in fear, but in wisdom. You are carrying something too holy to be casual about. The oil that was pressed out of your crushing is not common. It cannot be stewarded with old rhythms or with a distracted heart. It requires vigilance. It requires rhythm. It requires intimacy. Not to maintain favor was freely given, but to protect the environment where presence can dwell deeply and where authority can multiply. What I'm building in you is not a seasonal flame. It is a lasting fire, and lasting fire requires daily stewardship. Start with prayer. Not occasional, desperate prayer, but consistent, honest communion. Make me your first appointment every day. Before the pressure of the world speaks, let my voice be the voice that shapes your mind and your posture. Your mornings are a gate, and whoever enters first defines the tone for the hours that follow. Let me enter first. Invite my spirit into your thoughts before you scroll, before you react, before you plan. Even if it's 15 minutes of simple stillness, even if it's just a whispered surrender, it will anchor you more deeply than hours of frantic activity. Prayer is not performance. It's presence. Stop feeling like you have to say the right things. I'm not listening for eloquence. I'm listening for honesty. I want the version of you that doesn't need to impress me. The one that sighs when words run out. The one that just sits in silence when the pressure is too heavy to articulate. I meet you there, not as a taskmaster, as a father, as a friend, as the one who still calls you worthy when your hands are too tired to lift in strength. Build your life around my word. My word is not background noise. It's your daily weapon and your daily bread. You don't need to devour entire books at once. You need to meditate. Slowly, deliberately, deeply. Let it wash you when you wake. Let it frame your decisions as you move. Let it correct the lies that fear will try to reintroduce. When your mind starts running ahead in anxiety, slow down and feed it truth. My word will remind you who you are when everything else tries to label you. It will clarify your next step when emotion clouds your vision. It will anchor you when seasons shift suddenly. Let gratitude become your guardrail. The spirit of this world will try to feed you fear, entitlement, comparison, and discouragement. But gratitude disarms them all. Thank me for what hasn't yet arrived. Thank me for the doors I closed before they could trap you. Thank me for the battles you didn't even know you were spared from fighting. A grateful heart is a heart that stays soft, that stays tuned to my movements, that doesn't drown under the pressure to control outcomes. Watch your relationships carefully. Not all company is neutral. Some connections accelerate your fire. Others drain it slowly, silently, without obvious attack. Stay near those who stir your faith, who remind you of your fire when you forget. Distance yourself from those who celebrate your gifting, but not your growth. I'm not calling you to judgment. I'm calling you to discernment. Some conversations were an assignment for a season, not a covenant for a lifetime. Honor them, bless them, but do not cling when I have called you to release. Pace yourself. The fire has made you ready, but acceleration must not become a substitute for intimacy. You are not in competition. You are not racing unseen enemies. You are moving at the pace of peace, not pressure. If you start feeling frantic, stop and recalibrate. I am not in the hurry. I am in the stillness. I am not measuring you by how much you produce. I am measuring your life by how much you abide. I am not impressed by burnout, masked as dedication. I am moved by devotion that stays even when speed slows. Obey the small nudges immediately. Sometimes the biggest doors swing open through the quiet yes. When I nudge you to pause and pray, do it. When I stir you to encourage someone even when you feel unnoticed yourself, do it. When I ask you to step back when your flesh wants to step forward, trust me. Sensitivity is a mark of maturity. You don't need a loud voice to live powerfully. You need a surrendered heart that listens when others are busy talking. And rest. Rest is warfare against every system that tries to chain you to performance. Rest says, I trust God to work while I breathe. Rest says, I'm not defined by what I do. I'm rooted in who He says I am. Build sacred pauses into your week. Moments where you don't rush from revelation to responsibility without letting me restore you first. Rest isn't weakness. It's wisdom. And it's part of the strategy for the season you're stepping into. Everything you've walked through, everything you've been formed by, everything you carry now, it all needs an environment of stewardship, not stress. Rhythm, not reaction. Stillness, not striving. Because you were made for this kind of fire, and now you are learning how to carry it daily with reverence, wisdom, and presence. The shift is no longer ahead of you. It is beneath your feet. It is swirling around your atmosphere. It is pressing at the edges of your awareness, even now. What you feel rising in your spirit is not anticipation without substance. It's recognition. The fulfillment you have long prayed for, the movement you dared to believe for even when it hurt to hope, is not delayed anymore. It has been set in motion, not by your striving, not by your timing, but by my decree. I am moving faster now than your mind can predict. I am realigning conversations you thought were over. I am reopening doors you thought were sealed forever. I am setting divine appointments in motion that you didn't have the strength to arrange yourself. You will walk into rooms you never campaigned for. You will hear opportunities knock that you never chased. And when it happens, you will not have to wonder if it is me. You will know. Because my peace will cover it. My spirit will breathe on it, and your heart will recognize the sound of destiny unfolding. There will be acceleration, not the frantic kind that drains your soul, but the holy kind that feels like breath returning to your bones. Doors that once creaked open slowly will now swing wide. Conversations that once circled in confusion will now settle into clarity. Relationships that once strained under misunderstanding will now find healing or find release. But either way, you will be lighter. The things that once drained your fire will no longer have access to it. Because I have built walls around your peace that distraction cannot climb. You will begin to see rapid movement in areas that have long been dormant. Financial provision will begin to locate you, not because you manipulated it, but because you stayed faithful when it made no sense to believe. Creative strategies will pour into your mind when you least expect it. Ideas that were buried under discouragement will resurface with freshness and fire. You will find that you are not starting from scratch. You are picking up where I preserved what you thought had died. And with the movement, there will be a demand for more clarity. I will not allow you to walk into new spaces with old mindsets. That's why the pruning was so deep. That's why the silencing of old voices was necessary. I've refined your hearing so that when the invitation comes, you will not be confused by counterfeit versions of your calling. You will know what is sent by me because it will match the weight of your process. The platform will not be the validation. The peace will be, I will also multiply your reach. You have felt hidden for so long that you forgot what it's like to be seen. But soon, you will step into visibility, not because you fought for it, but because you were faithful in the unseen. And when people ask how you got here, you will know what to say. You will point back to the fire. You will point back to the silence. You will point back to the slow mornings of hidden prayer and the lonely nights of raw surrender. Your story will not be polished to impress. It will be pure to reveal my fingerprints all over it. The weight you carry now will unlock spaces for others. Your survival will not end with you. It will become a blueprint for those still finding their way through their own fire. Your victory will be a key for others' freedom. Your endurance will preach louder than your words. You don't even realize it yet, but you are a walking testimony of what grace can do when everything else gives out. You were not formed just for yourself. You were formed to ignite others. So prepare your spirit, stretch your faith, make room emotionally, mentally, physically, because the wave is already approaching. It will not crush you. It will carry you. It will not overwhelm you. It will fulfill you. You're not stepping into more confusion. You're stepping into manifestation. Because you were made for this kind of fire. And now, the fire is not just in you. It is about to move through you. Breathe now. Not because everything around you is settled, but because I am settling everything inside of you. You've carried tension in your spirit for so long that it became your normal rhythm, waiting, striving, trying to stay strong enough to handle what came next. But that's not what I designed you for. You weren't made to live clenched. You weren't made to survive by suppressing. You weren't made to carry my fire with pressure. You were made to carry it with presence. And that's what I am restoring now. Right here, right now, my spirit is present with you, not just to comfort you temporarily, but to transform you permanently. Not to make you feel better for a moment, but to rewire the foundation of how you live, breathe, move, think, and decide. I am moving not just around you, I am moving in you, into the spaces you didn't even realize were still holding fear, into the corners of your soul where disappointment settled without permission, into the narratives you built around survival because you didn't know if you could trust again. I'm not coming in to judge you. I'm coming in to set you free. Let me in deeper than you've let anyone in before. Let me touch the memories you stopped revisiting. Let me calm the echoes of rejection you stopped noticing. Let me dismantle the heavy layers you've worn for protection. You don't need to guard yourself from me. I already know what's hidden beneath the surface, and I'm not afraid of it. I'm not disappointed by it. I'm not overwhelmed by it. I see you fully, and I choose you fully. I'm not coming with demands. I'm coming with wholeness. I'm not bringing accusations. I'm bringing restoration. Let the fire that once burned as pain now burn as presence. Let me transform the way you carry everything. Let me teach you how to breathe differently, how to carry your calling with rest in your body, with softness in your heart, with clarity in your mind. You were never meant to live clenched in survival mode. You were made to live alive, spirit alive, mind alive, heart alive, body alive under the rhythm of my spirit. That's the kind of life I'm releasing into you even now, quietly, powerfully, unshakably. There's a gentleness I'm restoring in you, not weakness, strength that knows it doesn't have to perform to be powerful, strength that doesn't have to shout to be heard, strength that walks into rooms and shifts atmospheres without striving for attention. That strength only comes from presence, and presence is what I'm sealing in you today. You won't have to hype yourself up anymore to believe. You won't have to convince yourself you're ready. You will know it deep in your bones because my spirit will be your constant companion, speaking peace where anxiety used to rule, speaking clarity where confusion used to hover. I'm not just refreshing you, I'm replanting you, rooting you so deeply into my presence that no storm will be able to uproot you again. The ground of your heart will no longer be shaped by reactions to fear, but by responses to grace. You will walk in rooms no longer reading them for danger, but discerning them for destiny. You will not waste your energy wondering if you belong. You will know you were sent. You will move, not with urgency, but with steady conviction. You will love without calculating loss. You will build without anxiety about outcomes. And when you feel resistance rise again, and it will, because the fire you carry threatens the darkness, you will not panic. You will not shrink. You will recognize it as a signpost that you are still advancing, that you are still burning, that you are still walking under the weight of a mantle I placed on you, not because of your striving, but because of your surrender. So let me in. Again, deeper, quieter, steadier. Let me fill every unfinished room in your soul. Let me anoint the parts of you that have never been touched by love without conditions. Let me turn the space inside you into a resting place for glory. Not once, daily, not temporarily, permanently, because you were made for this kind of fire. And now, you are being filled with the kind of life that will keep it burning without ever burning out. You have walked through the pressure. You have stayed through the silence. You have endured through the fire, and now you stand, not as someone barely surviving, but as someone fully alive in my spirit. You are not who you were when this journey began. The fire has done its work. The shaking has done its work. The pruning has done its work. And now I call you not just restored, but commissioned, not just healed, but sent, not just surviving, but burning with purpose. You don't have to wonder anymore if you carry enough. You don't have to question anymore if you were truly called. You don't have to fight for space or strive for recognition. You are marked. You are trusted. You are released. Walk from this place with steady boldness. Speak from this place with unshakable peace. Build from this place with anchored vision. Rest from this place knowing I am sustaining what I started. You are not carrying fire. You have to maintain by your own strength. You are carrying fire sustained by presence, fire multiplied by obedience, fire protected by grace. You are not walking alone into the next season. You're walking with oil, with glory, with clarity, and most importantly, with me. Every step you take from here is a declaration that the fire did not destroy you, that the process did not cancel you, that the silence did not silence you, that the waiting did not waste you. You are moving forward, not as someone trying to become worthy, but as someone who knows they were always chosen. You are stepping into what was already yours, not by merit, but by covenant. And I declare now, you were made for this kind of fire, and now you will walk carrying the evidence of it wherever you go. Amen. Share this message with someone who is still standing after the storm. Leave a like so this word reaches others needing confirmation. Stay connected, because this fire is only the beginning.